तेंजिंग नोर्गे राष्ट्रीय साहस पुरस्कार 2020 सुश्री प्रियंका मंगेश मोहिते। माउंट अन्नपूर्णा फतेह करने वाली पहली भारतीय महिला, माउंट लोहत्से पर चढ़ाई करने वाली सबसे युवा भारतीय महिला सुश्री प्रियंका मंगेश मोहिते ने माउंट एवरेस्ट, माउंट किलिमंजारो, माउंट मकालू आदि पे भी चढ़ाई की। महाराष्ट्र राज्य सरकार ने आपको शिव छत्रपति महाराष्ट्र राज्य साहस पुरस्कार 2018-2019 से सम्मानित किया। आपको डीडी सह्याद्री मुंबई द्वारा सह्याद्री हिरकानी पुरस्कार भी प्रदान किया गया है। सुश्री प्रियंका मंगेश मोहिते को भूमि साहस के लिए तेंजिंग नोर्गे राष्ट्रीय साहस पुरस्कार 2020 से सम्मानित किया जाता है। सुश्री प्रियंका मंगेश मोहिते।
I'm Varda Sharma, editor Newsband, daily English newspaper of Navi Mumbai. Today we have with us a very special guest who is a young mountaineer, and at such a young age, she has made not only Maharashtra but entire country proud with her extraordinary feat. On 16th April 2021, she became the first Indian woman to scale Mount Annapurna. In fact, for this extraordinary feat and for exhibiting valor in the expedition, she was just recently awarded the prestigious Tenzing Norgay National Adventure Award by the Honorable President of India at Rashtrapati Bhavan. In fact, she is also the first Indian woman to scale Mount Makalu, which is the 5th tallest mountain, and is also the first Indian woman to scale Mount Lhotse in Nepal, and is the second youngest Maharashtrian and the third youngest woman to scale Mount Everest. So it gives me immense pleasure to welcome and introduce Priyanka Mohitte, who hails from Satara, Maharashtra. Welcome, Priyanka.
Thank you so much.
First of all, Priyanka, wish you heartiest congratulations for this extraordinary feat.
Thank you.
As we all know, Mount Annapurna is a very difficult mountain to climb, and you are also the first Indian woman to do so. So what challenges did you face, and since how long had you been preparing for the expedition?
Yeah, so in 2019, I climbed Makalu. Makalu is the 5th tallest mountain, and it's very, very technical mountain. So after every expedition, me and my parents sit together and we decide which mountain to be next. So my mom always wanted me to climb Kanchenjunga. Kanchenjunga is our highest mountain and world's third highest mountain. So 2020, I was preparing for Kanchenjunga. But unfortunately, we know everything what happened, like COVID pandemic happened and everything got cancelled and we were like locked down and there was like a mishap. And but it was little depressing and I really wanted to do back to back. But then I thought, okay, no, let's do this. Like, just I started practicing like home workout, like workouts. But once it was a little bit normalized, I started practicing a lot. And then I decided, okay, I'll go for 2 mountains. I'll climb 8,000 meters. One will be Kanchenjunga, as I dreamed of, and then Annapurna. But 2021, there was Kanchenjunga is a huge mountain and like all the mountains, but the final climb is of like 16 hours. So we want a huge team to climb it because like a lot of rope and everything is required. Like it's a team climb, So this year, no one was there to climb Annapurna. So unfortunately, just said, okay, this maybe not this year for Kanchenjunga, but I had one backup plan. Okay, I'll go for Annapurna, and that's how I knew that, Annapurna is like one of the like very dangerous mountain. It's called as a death mountain only because the success rate of Annapurna is just 33%, and the death rate is too high because it's known for its like climate change, sudden climate change, avalanches, and then very tough climb. And altitude is 8,091 meter, but don't go on a height. I always say don't go on a height. It was very, very difficult mountain. Once I really got it because I have faced 2, 3 avalanches, then I got a thought, okay, Priyanka, have you decided this mountain? You really want to climb? But I was like, yes, yes, I want to do it. Till the nature give me, support, I will go to it. If that mountain say, okay, not this year, then I'll accept that mountain decision and I'll come back. But I'll give definitely a try to climb that. And I did it. It was like one of the best moment of my life. Like after Everest, it's been 8 years I climbed Everest. It's like my first climb. Until Annapurna journey was really hard, and after climbing Annapurna, it was amazing moment for my life, like the life. Like
We would love to hear some of your experiences while scaling the mountain.
Yeah, sure. Actually, as I said, when I reached on this because of the COVID, they were really strict. We were quarantined in Kathmandu for 5 days, and we got our permit, and then we flew to Pokhara, and we started climbing. We actually flew to base camp also on the Purna base camp. Usually, we do treks like 5, 7 days treks, but this time the route of the base camp was not good, so we decided, okay, we'll fly to the base camp. Then we were there, then we did the acclimatization. Usually we do acclimatization. We reach till 6,200 or 6,500 meters. Like we go to altitude and come back. But as I said, it was really risky to go above Camp 2 because there is an avalanche area. Big Sirac was there, like ice blocks were there. So you never know when they will fall. It's there, unki marzi times. So it was really scary to go on those terrain. So we acclimatized till Camp 2, and Camp 2 is just hardly 5,000 meters. So there is no good acclimatization for that because we thought of our, safety. And reaching Camp 1 itself is so, it's amazing, but it was so difficult. I have to climb all the way to the terrain, then we have to go down to the glacier, then again climb up to the glacier. And I remember when we started Glacier Point, there was a huge, blocks of ice, and they can fall anytime. So we used to literally run through that, through those terrain, and then we used to come to the rock part of it. And now rock part of it, it's people are climbing. The locks are not that, they can be loose somewhere, so we can't put all the pressure on a rope also on this also. So it's like a rock fall. And then after Camp 1 reaching, like I took around 4, 5 hours to reach Camp 1, but after again on Camp 2 there is like some heavy rock fall. So those are the things. And I remember on the final push from Camp 2 to Camp 3, I already almost took 8 to 9 hours to reach because it was beautiful climb. First of all, it was an avalanche area, so we were rushing. We can't run in the mountains because there is a lack of oxygen, and with a heavy backpack. And then there was ice walls we have to climb. There was a whiteout. There was a bad weather. Everything was together, and I was like, "Oh my God, what is this climb?" I was just wishing I can see some tent and I go towards it. But it was really amazing. Even the last climb. Um, Everest, like there are many people who climb Everest each year, like 300 to 400 permits are issued for Everest. So there is a fixed rope till the top. So we have to follow that fixed rope. But for Annapurna, Makalu, Lhotse, there will be some part there will be no rope. You have to climb because there are very technical very well known and very experienced climbers come for those kind of climbs. So I also want to be one of get the experience. So Annapurna, there was a 100-meter patch. There was no rope. We have to climb. We have to prove our skills and climb. And that and altitude. One mistake and everything is finished. So we have to be very, very focused while climbing. So it was a really good experience overall. And I remember when I reached on the top, I was really happy for a moment, and then I was like, Priyanka, you have to go down safely because then only it will be a successful expedition. So I was continuously like, okay, you have to, because climbing is like one part, it's teaching like the half thing. going successfully back is one, like it's a like a successful climb for me. So the second thought came in my mind is like, oh my God, you have to go down all the way and touch wood, like praying to the God that nothing should happen, like nature should be really blessed, and I can just go. We were running literally when we were coming back, but there was avalanches and those areas, they were literally risky. We can see some, ice blocks are fallen and like, going in that ropes are damaged and all those things. But yeah, it was really amazing. But I was
Very adventurous.
yeah, totally.
And as mentioned earlier, you have been awarded the prestigious Tenzing Norgay National Adventure Award. So this definitely will boost and motivate many young climbers from across the world, in fact. So what were your feelings when your name was announced for the award?
Oh, my God. So that was another amazing thing happened this year. Actually, first, when they announced the name, first thing, like when I went to Rashtrapati Bhavan for rehearsal, there were so many other athletes like me, and including Neeraj Chopra, Shikhar Dhawan. Every time we watch on a TV, so it was good. Like the energy was really different in the rehearsal itself. But the next day, when we are in the Rashtrapati Bhavan, it was all disciplined. Everything was disciplined. No phones, nothing allowed. And we were sitting, and one adventure thing was, I was wearing sari and I was wearing heels because I want to look tall. So that was one more adventure to walk properly. So I was like boosting myself, and there were army officers who received like me. There were few army officers. They were like, "Paper, you go." I was like, yes, there was a nervousness and very, very exciting. And when they called my name, and I was like, I got a goosebumps, And then I walked, and I was standing to hear my citation. When I was listening, I was like, oh, I have done so many less things. I need to do many more. But that just got me really like a pride thing for me. When they announced my journey of Sahyadri to mountain, everything was included. So I was like, yes, I'm a part of this, all the things, and they are part of my journeys. When they called Sahyadri, yes, I started with the Sahyadri, and then I went to Himalaya. So that was a thing, and just a goosebump and proud feeling for me as well, like my parents.
And when and how did you start climbing? Did you develop interest for mountain climbing? I mean, this is something, a sport which not many people and many girls especially take up. So how did you develop an interest for this?
So as I said, I'm from actually Satara. It's a city covered with the hills, and very beautiful, and always big inspiration from a childhood is Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. So my uncle used to take us on a fort and tell his story and the bravery thing, and it just got, it just gives me all the time the energy and the vibe, and I started liking it, the forts, and then I started exploring in Sahyadri ranges, like Koila sanctuaries there to watch the animals trek. So many forts are there, like we have like more than 300 forts in Maharashtra. So started going there, started reading about history, and it just gave me, like, I found it out that if I'm in the nature, I'm really happy and very positive vibe. Though it's very difficult to trek with a small backpack also, but it gives me tremendous happiness. Not like, I'm watching something, but inside that feeling was really good. And I started observing that my marks are also getting good. Like that's why my parents never said me no to go for a trek, because I'm really happy. I come here and I just study also nicely, because that was one more thing that parents used to say no and all, but my marks and everything was consistent. They're like, okay, you go. Then I got, like, I jumped into rock climbing, and then my teacher, who introduced me to the trekking, he told me, why can't you go to the Himalayas and do these courses? I always wanted to go Himalayas. I was a crazy fan. I used to watch Discovery, National Geographic, like anything. And they told this to my parents. My mom is not living with Agri because I was doing Bharatanatyam as well. She's like, no, no, we know our kid, how she just wanted to go ahead. And then I remember I was in 12th standard. There was one more girl from Maharashtra, Krishna Patil. She climbed Everest, and she was just 19, and my whole family, she came to Satara to share her experience. My whole family was there to listen to her. My uncle, my mom, dad, yeah, obviously my grandparents were there, and my grandparents is like, oh, she's 19 and she can climb Everest. Why can't she? Like, why can't my mom is like, okay, it's okay, we can do. And I remember after her, she climbed in 20, I think 28, sorry, 2008 or 2007. And I climbed in 2013. After her, I was the one who climbed it. So that was my journey. And it just inspired me, not me, but my parents also. And that's how it started. I did my courses. First time snowfall, first time, everything was really new. I got A grade. I reached till the 17,000 feet. I never saw snow and ice. Only I used to watch in a Discovery Channel or some travel channels. And that was the first time. And then I thought, yes, this is something, because if there was a difficulty, but I have reached 17,000 feet, and that was a huge achievement for me. And then my parents are like, okay, we can trust, trust you, you should go. Then they allowed me for advanced course, then I climbed. And then my first big mountain was Mount Everest, which I climbed in 2013. It was hardly my third mountain, but yes, I climbed, and then my journey started towards all the 8,000 feet.
In fact, my next question was what was your first expedition and how old were you at that time?
Oh, when I did my courses, I was just 16-year-old, 16, 17-year-old, and then I climbed my first mountain in 2012. It's Mount Bandar Burj. It's in Uttarakhand. So the height is 6,200 meters, 21,500 feet. So my first time when I went to the mountains, I reached around 17,600 from sea level to 17,000, and second time I reached 21,500. Now I got to know, okay, something is there. My body is getting well acclimatized. Mountains are also welcoming me, and I also wanted to go. So that was my first climb, and after that I climbed BC Roy in Darjeeling and the Sikkim Himalayas, and then I climbed Great Peak, like a height gain, not the climb. And then after that I climbed Mount Everest. Then that time I was 20-year-old. So
What formal training have you taken?
Yes. So I got to know that how my body reacts to 6,200 meter mountain and what I need to do the practice. So immediately when I got selected, I started preparing. So I used to prepare a lot. For 5 o'clock I used to wake up. Then I used to train running 5 to 10 kilometers. Then I started gymming. Then Satara, as I said, it's covered by the hills. There are so like good hills, and I used to take a 15 kg backpack, like weight in my bag, and I used to climb like 1 hour, 1.5 hour on those hills. And then after that, I used to go to college like 11 to 5. Then after 5, there is a Sainik School Satara. So the PT teacher of Satara, that Sainik School, Mr. Shrestha, he used to train me. So believe me, I was not able to do one push-up, but after 3 months, I used to do 20 push-ups at one time. I used to try first 1 or 2 practice session. I fainted. Literally, I fainted. I did it with the Josh, everything. And after like 1 hour training, after that training, 15 to 20 minutes, he used to teach me judo, because it's like self-defense is really important, and you are going in Nepal. Maybe you will need it, maybe you will not, but you should know. I remember that first time when he trained me, he just did something and I just fainted. That used to happen earlier, and then after that he told me about the food, nutrition, what to eat and not to maintain the energy. So that was my whole day. And I was doing my Bharatanatyam, as I said. That year was like my last year, final exam, Visharad, Bharatanatyam Visharad. So I used to practice after that. 7 to 9 I used to practice. So it was like a whole, and 9 o'clock I used to come, and then my energy is full down and I used to sleep. Then again morning 5 o'clock. There was a routine for like 6 months. So
did you face any challenges? Because I think there is a dearth of some coaching available or the infrastructure facilities available. So did you face challenges with regards to that?
Which this thing?
The formal training, when you were taking the formal training, I think the number of coaches and the number of institutes for this are quite limited, especially in some parts of India. So did you face challenges with regards to that?
Yeah, actually, but as I said, it's not possible like physically go in the mountains all the time. The people who are staying on the like a north part, like Himachal, or maybe Uttarakhand, Darjeeling, the snow line is really near to them, so they can go and practice there. But for us, like staying in a Satara city, going there, it was not feasible that time. So I know that it's gonna be challenge. So I used to do all the time because I really wanted to do my more than 100%. So that was also first time. So I didn't know. There are two terms, like you should be physically fit and the mentally fit for climbing any mountain. So physically, mentally, I was fit. That's how I reached first time 17,000. Physically, I was not that fit, but I need to be physically fit, like more than 100%. So my leader, like Colonel Rana, who was my expedition leader for Everest, he told me what kind of practice you should do. Running uphill running, uphill trekking, and all those things. So I followed each and everything, and more on that. Practice is important, but to get maintain that energy for the whole day, you have to eat nutritious food. So I also don't have good knowledge about it. So my trainer used to tell me you have to eat this, and because if you go to mountains, your hemoglobin level, not the physically fit means muscle and all, but your internal like hemoglobin level and the blood pressure level, everything should be really normal. So for that, I used to eat everything. I know I never like this dry fruits. I was just till now I don't eat dry fruits because I ate so much of dry fruits that time. Every practice I used to come home, my mom was like, okay, eat this. I was like, I don't really like it. Then she made those laddus, small laddus with groundnut and all the dry fruits, so I can eat one laddu. So I'll not feel that okay, different I'm having. So those are all the things. So faced many problems, but got the wins. I have asked people. There were many people who have more experience in climbing there in Maharashtra. So I used to go and ask them. So they told me that this must. They also told me their experience and what kind of practice they did. So listening to everyone, I made my format. My dad made it, and then the nutrition part, and we started working on together. So like that, it just happened.
You are presently working in Bangalore. And
Yes.
so, how difficult or how do you balance both the work and training sessions?
Yeah, that's the most common question. But yeah, I feel I have a lot of time still. Like right now, I work 62 in a pharma. I work in a research work, so it's not like a desk job. It's like we work in a lab, so it's very active job. And after that, sometimes maybe physically not that active, but mentally it is. We have to think constantly all the time to okay, ये experiment नहीं हुआ, it is not working. Then how to troubleshoot and all the things. I have seen myself after 8 hours, my brain stopped working. Sometimes if my experiment doesn't work and all. So those are the things. Sometimes you're mentally drained, physically drained. But there is a time slot every day. I must train 1.5 hour every day. Sundays or Saturdays, I give sometimes, myself, okay, maybe if you want to go, but mostly I go on a trek on those days or maybe rock climbing. So days are not off mostly. So those are the things I have learned how to balance it right now because when I was young and I used to climb, I was studying that time. So that time only I got to know that okay, we have to balance this thing, and then that those things only I'm applying here. I'm balancing it. So, like I have my priority, so those things will come first, like my exercise and all those things, and after that everything will then. Because this goals which I'm setting is not those are not small for me. They're really bigger. I need to work for it.
What is your next plan now?
Oh yeah, the Kanchenjunga. Yes, definitely now it's time to find Kanchenjunga.
So when are you planning to go for that expedition? Any time? Have you said?
Yeah, it's April, May. Spring season is really good for it. I usually climb in the spring season because we get good number of weather windows, so we can attempt our final summit push. So yes, though that time.
Priyanka, what would be your message for the aspiring young climbers?
Yes, definitely there are many messages, but the one message is like when I was young, I got opportunity to climb Everest at very young age, and I climbed. I didn't stop on it, and I just still climbing. taking time from my, from my passion, from my career. Like I'm working as farmer. I just told you. So I'm taking time and I'm doing it. But that's what I really wanted to say, that climbing Everest is one thing, but there are very, very beautiful mountains in India. 6,000 meters, 7,000 meters. Please go for it. And I also sometimes regret that I don't get a time to go. I can't go for these mountains. But yeah, definitely after finishing this 8,000-meter mountain, I will definitely go for it. So just don't just focus on the Everest. There are beautiful mountains, and yes, even after climbing Everest, you should climb. You climb it. That's how you will become a very good climber, not just Everest climber. So yeah, that's why.
On behalf of the entire team of Newsband, Priyanka, we wish you all the best for your next expedition. And the viewers request you all to please stay safe, stay healthy, and do follow COVID-19 safety protocols. Thank you so much, Priyanka.
Thank you. Thank you.